What would you do if truth and danger walked together into your life? If the next step for someone you love demanded everything you stand for? Stay with me, because this is the story of difficult choices, unexpected alliances, and a relentless search for justice. Over the next 16 minutes, you'll witness secrets unearthed, desperate rescues, betrayals that sting like salt, and the quiet moments where courage is born. Will Savi save the child she loves? Can Neil follow the traces of a mystery without losing himself? Keep listening until the end, because the answer is more shocking than you think. Saturday, November 1st, 2025. ACP Mundakur slides into the investigation like a shadow with purpose, gently nudging Neil into the center of a case that smells of old money and older sins. As Neil reluctantly follows the trail, Savi's curiosity digs deeper into Tejaswini's past, a search that unravels threads no one wanted pulled. Before she knows it, Savi is snatched from the margins of the mystery and thrown into the darkness. In a locked room, she finds Riddhi already there, eyes wide with fear. Now the investigation is personal, not just files and statements, but the urgent, raw need to bring two women out of harm's way. Sunday, November 2nd, 2025. Neil throws himself into Tejaswini's story, tracing footprints, old acquaintances, and the small lies that form a larger truth. Meanwhile, Savi wakes to a chilling demand. Her captor wants something precious, the antique necklace Raja was supposed to deliver before his death. The ransom is simple in words, but impossible in practice. Find the necklace, and Riddhi lives. Fail, and the consequences are unthinkable. Savi's days compress into a race against time, each second an echo of the child she must save. Monday, November 3rd, 2025. Savi's search becomes frantic, a pounding urgency that makes her wrists ache and her chest tight. She scrambles through old boxes, confronts reluctant witnesses, and faces Tara across a table of accusation and worry. Tara's questions cut like thin glass. She wants answers, and Savi has very few. All the while, Neil digs deeper into Rajat and Tejaswini's tangled lives, pulling memory loose from people who would rather forget. The town's past begins to stitch itself to its present, and Savi learns fast that the necklace may be the key to more than one life. Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. A single discovery changes the shape of the hunt. Neil finds what looks like a ruby tucked inside a chocolate wrapper from Rajat's car. The glitter promises a lead, but Savi, under pressure to protect Riddhi, refuses to let investigation slow the rescue. She chooses the child over clues, prioritizing safety over truth. Tension tightens between them. Neil wants answers, Savi wants Riddhi home, and the rift between duty and love grows visible like a crack in glass. Wednesday, 5 November 2025. The mystery deepens when laboratory results reveal the stones in the chocolates are not rubies at all. Deception ripples through the case. Something has been staged, a false shine to distract from the darker engine underneath. Savi pleads with her captor, bargaining for Riddhi's life as he presses the demand for the necklace. Her pleas are small explosions of hope in a room full of fear, the kind of courage that trembles but refuses to break. Thursday, November 6th, 2025. Savi quietly asks Bhakti to keep an eye on Rajat's death case, to send messages when a new lead appears. Meanwhile, Shrichand returns to the airport with his son Chirag in tow, a young man who insists on meeting the talkers, unwilling to wait for formalities or gentle introductions. The world tilts as old business meets new faces. Alliances shift as people arrive who will change the balance of power, whether they know it or not. Friday, November 7th, 2025. Marty's voice becomes a hammer. He demands that Savi step into a role she never wanted, laundering money, if she hopes to buy Ridhi's freedom. The bargain is cruel and immediate. Comply and you buy the child's safety. Refuse and watch the consequences unfold. Neil carries another burden. He hides the truth about the fake rubies from ACP Manjurkar, deciding that some facts might do more harm than good. In a case full of gray zones, secrets breed more secrets. Saturday, November 8th, 2025. Sabi's heart argues with her conscience until one triumphs and survival wins. Concerned for Rudy's life, she bends her principles and agrees to Maruti's demands, a sacrifice that tastes bitter but buys breathing space. In private moments, she counts the cost of each compromise, knowing that one small concession can open doors that are hard to close. Sunday, November 9th, 2025. As part of the smothering plan, Savi prepares to fly to Switzerland, a movement to put distance between danger and the one she protects. At the airport, a goon slips her a suspicious bag, a heavy, secret-laden parcel that speaks of complicity and threat. Every airport step becomes a measure of trust and dread. Departure looms like both chance and trap. Monday, November 10th, 2025. Confrontation sharpens when Maruti, enraged, breaks Savi's spectacles and accuses her of gathering evidence against him. The violence is intimate and terrible, a physical punctuation to the threats that have stalked her. Then she sees Neil in Switzerland, an unexpected presence that forces her to ask, is he ally or danger? His appearance raises questions about motives and timing, and Savi begins to wonder who is chasing whom. Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. Neil's presence gnaws at Savi. Torn between gratitude for his help and frustration at his nagging persistence, she agrees to a fragile partnership. They'll investigate Rajat together. The tension between them is real. They sense each other's guarded corners and hidden griefs. Denied access to Rajat's flat, they learn that answers are often kept behind locked doors, and sometimes the only way in is to find another path. Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. Risk becomes an adventure when Neil and Savi slip into Rajat's flat late at night. They peel back secrets, and behind a false wall find the rubies hidden away. The thrill of discovery is immediate, but danger follows. Police approach with questions. Thinking quick, they melt into the crowd at a nearby speed dating event. Strangers in the midst of strangers, dancing to avert suspicion and buying themselves a few breathing moments. It's a ridiculous human escape, the kind of moment where fear and absurdity meet. Thursday, 13 November 2025, that Lena brings the news home when she tells Bhagyashri that Savi traveled to Switzerland with Neil. Confrontation erupts. Bhagyashri demands the truth. Savi tells it, halting and raw. and the household's tension spikes until Bhagyashri unexpectedly collapses, a reminder that the stress of secrets can become a physical burden. In one instant, the drama shifts from criminal intrigue to family crisis, and Savi watches as the web she's woven affects more lives than she imagined. Friday, 14 November 2025. The rubies reveal another lie. They are fake. The discovery pulls the investigation into new darkness. What was believed to be wealth is merely glitter. Police suspicion grows, and to avoid being questioned too closely, Neil and Savi stage a honeymoon. Warm smiles, stage privacy. A cover story fragile enough to break, but convincing in the moment. It's a gamble, a performance to bypass suspicion and press onward in their search. Saturday, 15 November 2025. In private. Neil comforts Savi as emotions unfurl and confusion settles like fog. He overhears a conversation with Murali that piques his curiosity, something unsaid that implies deeper debts and older dangers. When Murali refuses to free Rudhi until Rajat's debts are cleared, Savi breaks down. The weight of barter, debt, and desperation crushes her. Money's ugly claws wrap tighter around people's lives, and even bravery can be bankrupted. Sunday, 16 November 2025, that Vyashri erupts in fury, refusing to let Savi into the house to see Sai and Kian. Accusations fly. Tara points to mistakes and calls Savi reckless, unfit as a mother. Yet in the corner, Sai defends Savi, the small acts of trust that ripple into larger ones. Tension in the household becomes a trial of loyalty. When family fractures, who chooses to stitch it back together? Monday, 17 November 2025, the Tucker House. Rajat staff rise in protest over unpaid wages, a chorus of grievances that exposes the rot behind comfortable facades. Meanwhile, Riddhi finds a sliver of liberty. She escapes her captors and, trembling, calls Savi. Savi answers with a lie to Bhagyashri, a protective falsehood meant to buy time while she races to save the child. She refuses Neil's help. The rescue will be her own, a solitary act of maternal ferocity. Tuesday, 18 November 2025, that Neil shifts his focus to Vaden, advising him to balance studies and play, attempting to pull a frightened boy toward a normalcy the case has stolen. Later, Murti surprises them by apologizing to Rudy after hearing of Nagraj's misconduct, a slender attempt at damage control. The small gestures do not erase the larger crimes, but they complicate motives and make enemies look human for a sliver of a second. Wednesday, 19 November 2025. When Sai introduces Neil as her fond Pookie uncle, Savi's shock is immediate. Neil never expected the warmth or the closeness of family ties to build so quickly. The invitation to join a balance race is small and human, a chance to be ordinary amid the extraordinary. Neil participates, their laughter for a moment replacing the stress, reminding them both that life is not only danger and debt. Thursday, 20 November 2025. Savi, frightened by what Neil's presence might mean, urges him away and blocks his number. The walls tighten. Still, Neil, who carries his own wounds, feels raw when Tejaswini's results arrive. She tops the university, a tragic brilliance that pierces him with regret and sorrow. That night, Neil slips into a drunken fog. the kind where regret turns public and apologies must be earned again. Friday, 21 November 2025, Biyashri's anxiety crescendos when she cannot reach Rudy and lashes out at Savi for perceived negligence. Neil, meanwhile, sinks into low spirits at being unable to call Sai and celebrate Tejaswini's success, and on a wave of loneliness, he drinks too much. The human cost of the case emerges not as headlines, but as sleepless nights and clumsy apologies. Saturday, 22 November 2025, in a messy scene of emotion, Neil demands the chance to speak with Sai while drunk and ashamed, then sobers to follow Savi to the hospital to apologize. The small acts of contrition matter, and Savi, who has lived in survival mode, hears in his apology the possibility of partnership rather than interference. Sunday, 23 November 2025, to Rudy, cruel and calculating, pits Rudy against Savi, poisoning the child's mind to think Savi has abandoned her. The tactic works. Rudy's trust tilts dangerously. Yet Neil, who has learned the shape of Savi's heart in the meantime, comforts her with sincere apologies and joins in celebrating a quiet Father's Day with Sai, a brief island of familial warmth amid the storm. Monday, 24 November 2025, the trail to Riddhi grows harder when Nagaraj, a lead they hoped would help, is shot under mysterious circumstances. The case, once a simple line, now loops into a maze of violence. Maruti uses the chaos to tighten his grip, confronting Savi with demands that slide further from horror to inescapable moral compromises. Each step forward costs them something. Tuesday, 25 November 2025, that new clues emerge from Riddhi's video, guiding Savi and Neil along the winding path of a yatra route. Yash lends his memory and knowledge to the chase, tracing footsteps and festival crowds. Tension simmers as Savi insists on finding Riddhi herself, the instinct to protect her child burning brighter than any pride could withstand. Wednesday, 26 November 2025, to move unseen, Savi and Neil don disguises and blend into the pilgrimage, becoming faces in a sea of devotion. It is a study in patience and stealth. Watch, wait, and learn. At a breathless moment, Riddhi warns Maruti to leave. Savi arrives, heart pounding, and at last finds her a reunion jagged and raw, the sort that leave both of them shaking and laughing and crying in the same breath. Thursday, 27 November 2025, that Riddhi is home, but the relief is complicated. Bhagyashri confronts Savi fiercely for hiding the kidnapping. Anger and fear mix into a bitter cocktail. Still, Savi calls Neil when Sai insists, an olive branch, and an admission that trust must be rebuilt. The Pradhans worry aloud about the bond forming between Neil and Savi, whispering that proximity can become something deeper. But for now, they stitch the pieces of their family back together, however fragile this seems. Friday, 28 November 2025, Shrichan invites Neil and family to the puja, a ceremony where prayers and plans tangle together. Neil prays for Sai and for justice for Tejaswini, unaware that Shrichan is tightening a plan that will change everything. Rituals are performed, candles offered, and a dangerous complacency returns for some, even as the shadows move. Saturday, 29 November 2025, a viral video explodes across screens. Neil and Savi in Switzerland, an image Schrichen crafted to shock and manipulate. The Pradhans and talkers watch aghast, blindsided by the footage. Rudy's accusations of an affair pierce the household. Rumors become fuel. In a single viral moment, trust erodes and the world narrows to rumor and reaction. Sunday, 30 November 2025 at Bayashri, furious and hurt, moves Sai and Keon into Shrichen's home, cutting Savi off and leaving her isolated. The separation is a blade. It severs ordinary comforts and forces Savi into survival mode once again. She warns Neil to keep away, fearing that his presence endangers what she has left with her children. Monday, 1 December 2025, that Neil refuses to step back. He helps Savi sneak into Shrichen's house so she can meet her kids quietly. Inside those rooms, they discover the truth that changes everything. Shrichen is the puppeteer behind Rajat and Tejaswini's deaths and the architect of a money-laundering racket that used people as disposable parts. The revelation shifts motives, names names, and brings the investigation into a new light. Enemies now clearly seen, accountability suddenly possible. This has been a story of tireless searching, the dangerous cost of truth, and the unbreakable ties that push people beyond the edge of fear. Savi risked everything for Rudy. Neil followed a case that dragged him into the messy reality of grief and guilt. And together they exposed a cruelty that only seemed invincible until now. If this journey moved you, if the moments of bravery and heartbreak pulled at your heart, do something that helps more stories like this get heard. Hit like to show you stand with courage. Share this video so someone else can feel less alone in a fight for truth. Write in the comments which moment shocked you most or which character you believe will change next. And most importantly, subscribe because the next chapter is coming and we will follow Savi, Neil, and those who stand for justice every step of the way. Stay tuned, stay brave, and thank you for watching.